Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Upgrades. I'm Jeremy Noell.
And I'm John Suarez.
And in this episode, we're going to talk about the Timeless Wisdom deck, but switch up the commander to Akim the Soaring Wind. So Akim is a 3/4 flying bird dinosaur that costs 2 blue, red, white, and says whenever you create one or more tokens for the first time each turn, create a 1/1 white bird creature token with flying, and then also says 3 blue, red, white creature tokens you control gain double strike until end of turn. So where the Gavi Nest Warden really focused on the cycling aspect of things, this one's really focusing on the token aspect of things.
Yeah.
So Gavi can create tokens, so you may still want to consider running that in the 99, especially if you're going to keep a lot of the cycling stuff in there.
Yeah.
If you're not going to completely change the deck out, then it's definitely a good choice to keep that in there and keep a lot of the cycling aspects in there. But we're going to talk a lot more about the Jeskai tokens aspect of it, adding more things that really care about the tokens. So,
yeah.
The first card, John, if you want to talk about that.
Sure. So the first card we have, one of the staples that you want if you're playing a token-based deck in white, whether that's Jeskai or Selesnya or any other color, is Divine Visitation. So 3 colors, white, white, enchantment, and it says if one or more creature tokens would come into play under your control, you make that many 4/4 flying vigilant angel tokens instead. Very, very powerful card. Turning a 1/1 bird with flying into a 4/4 angel with flying and vigilance, or a dinosaur cat into a flying 4/4 angel. Very, very powerful. Will take chunks out of your opponent's life very quickly.
Yeah, for sure. And especially with that second ability on Akim, just being able to give them double strike until end of turn. If somebody doesn't have blockers in the air, they are either just done or very close to. They're going to be very threatened with just a couple of those angels in the air. So
cycling a Decree of Justice with this in play is disgusting.
Yeah, that seems real good. All right, so our next one also really cares about specifically the one type of creature, and that is Shared Animosity, which is a enchantment for 2 and a red, and it says whenever creature you control attacks, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn for each other attacking creature that shares a creature type with it. So if you already have your Divine Visitation out and you've been making a couple of angels, again, these just you swing in. They all get pluses for each other one that's in there, and then you can give them all double strike. You're just wiping somebody out.
Yes, it's really good with your Akim too, because you'll just make birds if you don't have Divine Visitation. This is just an Anthem style of card that gets a lot bigger on power.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you have your 5/1/1s, and all of a sudden you're on the attack, and they're all 5/1s.
Yeah.
And this is also one that's in the Mardu deck and the Humans deck. Yep. So if you've got your set of 5, you can very easily take that out of there, swap it in here whenever you want to play it, and go from there. So pretty easy switch out. So
let's see. So the next card we have is definitely not in any of the other precons. This is probably one of the more expensive cards that we'll suggest as an upgrade. But there's a good reason for that. It is the white token card, which is Anointed Procession. 3 colors and a white enchantment. If an effect would create 1 or more tokens under your control, it instead creates twice as many. So, anything you do that puts a token into play, whether that's a 4/4 angel making 2 4/4 angels, or Akim making 1/1 birds, making 2 of them, it can get out of hand. There's a lot of ways to make tokens in this deck already between Gavi and Drakehaven and then the cards we're adding. This is just, there's a reason it's expensive as it is.
Yeah.
But it is one of the best cards in your deck.
Yeah, it's definitely one where we both talked about it a little bit, looked and went, wow, that really jumped in price since I've last was paid attention to it. So yeah, if you have one already, really good effect to put in there. As we said, probably the most expensive one that we're gonna suggest to add to the deck, or any of these decks really. The next one, not as expensive. It's only a couple of dollars as of right now, and that is one of the commander cards from the previous commander sets, and that's Clad Telcor Engineer. It's an artifact creature artificer. It's a 4/4 for 4 blue red. Gives creature tokens you control haste, and says at the beginning of combat on your turn, create a 2/1 blue mirror artifact creature token. Then you may choose a token you control. If you do, each other token you control becomes a copy of that token. So very, very solid with Akim, because you are creating that other token. It's whenever you create one or more tokens, you get another one. They both have haste immediately, and you can make them all into one. If you already have Divine Visitation out, it goes real well because you get
You've
that
won.
you get that 4/4. It has haste. Swing in all day.
Yeah. Awesome with Shared Animosity, since it copies the creature, so they will all be one creature type. Yep. All of your tokens for that. So
yeah, rather than having like the spread around, like if you had a couple from Akim and a couple after you got Divine Visitation out, and maybe like the ones from Gavi and stuff like that, they all become that one. Swing them in, Shared Animosity pumps them all up. It's a really good coat of arms style effect. So
yeah. Let's see. Our next card here is pretty powerful card, I would say, and that is Afara, God of the Pulse. So 6/5 for 4 mana, 2 colors, white and blue. It is a legendary enchantment creature god and is indestructible, just like all of the other gods from the Born of the Gods and Theros cycle. As long as your devotion to white or blue is less than 7, it stays as an enchantment and not a creature. But the best part of this card is its ability of, at the beginning of each upkeep, if you had another creature enter the battlefield under your control last turn, you get to draw a card. So, if you have something like I said earlier with Drakehaven, and you cycle a card to draw a card and make a Drake, you get to do that on everybody's turn.
Yeah.
Just get all the triggers off of Afara. Something like... So, anything that can make tokens on multiple players' turns, exactly where you want to be. And even if you can't, just getting 1 or 2 draws in addition to your normal cycling or whatever you're trying to do is pretty good. So
yeah, very, very true. I really, really like this card. The next one is definitely going to help out with, it works well with Afara, and is also kind of a staple in your white token-based decks, and that is Hour of Reckoning. It's a sorcery for 4 white, but you're usually not going to be paying that much for it because it has Convoke as well. And it says destroy all non-token creatures. So this works very, very well in this deck because a lot of the times you're just going to be destroying a few creatures that are not tokens on your side, but you're going to be absolutely wiping out everybody else's board. And so it kind of becomes a Plague Wind in Garrick's Wake type effect, where you're really just taking over on your side. Unless, it's going to be pretty uncommon that you're going to have more than 1 token-based deck, and especially if you're going to have more than 2 token-based decks. Like if 4 people all sit down to play token-based decks, obviously it goes down in value quite a bit. But that's going to be a pretty rare occurrence there.
Yeah.
So.
For sure. All right, so the next card up is Jeskai Ascendancy, blue, red, white enchantment. It says whenever you cast a non-creature spell, creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn, and you untap those creatures. And then also whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you may draw a card, and if you do, discard a card. So this is kind of an anthem. It also can give your creatures some sort of vigilance if you need it, where you just want to maybe surprise somebody with a block. You play an instant on their turn, you get to untap your creatures, give them +1/+1, block what you need to block. But it also allows you to keep digging. Anytime you cast a non-creature spell, you'll be able to draw, discard, which if you have something like... trying to think of some of the cycling cards that trigger off of discarding in addition to drawing.
Sure.
Most of them will trigger that way as well, which is nice. So
yeah, for sure. In this deck, you've also got things like Braylon, who cares about the discard.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. There's, what is it? The Bulbasaur, the Sluggy. I can't think of that guy's name to save my life. But there's a creature that's 4 mana creature that gives a +1/+1 counter whenever you discard a card.
Oh.
In addition to Braylon.
Okay, yeah.
Surly
Badgersaur.
Yeah, that was nowhere near Bulbasaur.
I like that nickname though.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's the one that's switches.
Trying to find it.
What you get based on what you discard. Yeah. It's like discard a land, get a treasure.
Yeah,
or something
you get a bunch of different things depending on what you discard. So
yeah, it's
will go well with old Bulbasaur.
Yeah. Yeah. So our next one is another enchantment that cares about a bunch of creatures, and that's Impact Tremors. I think this one's pretty going to be pretty standard in any red base token deck. They're a little rare, but they definitely have their moments where they shine. And it's enchantment for 1 in red that says whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, Impact Tremors deals 1 damage to each opponent.
All of them.
So yeah, it's because of the fact that it's only 1 damage. It doesn't see a ton of play in Commander, but when you can play stuff in like a Jeskai token style deck, and you are making a bunch of creatures every turn, you start really just machine gunning down people's life totals.
Yep, for sure. It adds up very quickly. You'd be surprised how quickly that card's damage can add up, for sure.
Yeah, you can very easily take out 10 life in a couple of turns, and people are where, what's going on all of a sudden.
Yep. Let's see. The next card we have is Rootborn Defenses. So this is 2 colorless and a white instant. Populate, and then creatures you control are indestructible this turn.
Yeah.
Perfect type of card for this deck. You're going to make a token, and then you're going to make all your tokens indestructible, and every other creature that you have.
Yeah.
So,
and this one is, it works really well with the Jeskai Ascendancy, as you were saying before.
Yes.
You just play this instant speed, it untaps all your creatures, they all get +1/+1 to be able to actually take out somebody else's creatures, and they get the indestructible so they don't die as well. So,
and you would draw a card and discard a card to the Ascendancy.
Yep.
So works real well together.
That's a fantastic little chocolate and peanut butter combination there. So the last card that we're going to go over for this token-based deck is one that also came out in a Commander precon recently, and that was Idol of Oblivion. I think this one's pretty sweet. This one came out in it was the Girid, I think it's
deck. It was the 2019 deck for sure.
Yeah, it was the Populate deck.
Yes, the eggs.
Yeah, eggs and everything.
Eggs,
so it's a 2-mana artifact. It says tap, draw a card, activate this ability only if you created a token this turn. So gonna happen pretty often. It's just gonna be a tap, draw card.
Yep.
But also it has pay 8, tap it, sacrifice it, create a 10/10 colorless Eldrazi creature token.
Yep. The first time you get to Brutaclad, that 10/10 is gonna feel real good.
Yep. Yeah. You obviously don't want your Divine Visitation out with that one.
No.
You don't want to just.
But you're not going to always have it.
I got my 4/4. But you still, if you can get that 10/10 Brutaclad, copy it. Now all your stuff's a 10/10 Eldrazi. It feels real good.
Could be a combo with Divine Visitation, but it is definitely a combo with Anointed Procession.
With Anointed Procession and Brutaclad and a lot of the stuff we got going on here. Yep. So. All right, so those are the additions that we made to this deck. Some of the cards that we talked about taking out are things like Cryptic Trilobite, which seems pretty sweet. I think that one really wants to be in more of like a big mana deck than anything else. So it's like okay, not super great in this deck. Agitator Ant, I think, is another one that you said you weren't super impressed by.
No, I don't like that card.
Yeah. Asperia Supreme Judge doesn't really do much in this deck.
That's more of a filler for this deck. I get it. I understand why it's in the precon, but it's not something you really want for what's going on here.
Yeah. As we talked about in the previous video, Bonder's Ornament is just an okay card. You definitely have some better options. Idol of Oblivion is a very easy switch out for something like that.
For sure.
And then things like the Impetuses are not super great in this deck.
Yeah,
trying to get other people to goad their creatures and stuff like that, and not necessarily where you want to be in this, especially for the token deck. So
I didn't select any cycling cards for the most part to take out because cycling is just great in general. But I did take out Slice and Dice. More often than not, that card's probably going to do damage to your side of the board, and you probably don't want to do that. So there's plenty of other cycling cards you can play, or not even replace it with a cycling card. But that one is a little scary.
Yeah. For sure, I get that one. So, I think that's all we have for this deck now. So, make sure to let us know what cards you would add to the deck in the comments below. And remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. I'm Jeremy Noell for John Suarez. Thanks for watching.